Can you break down like a typical self-storage deal, like numbers wise? Like what are you looking for?
I'll use one that we just did, the most recent one, which has been within the last 6 months. It was 3 storage facilities, a total of 240 units. $850,000 was the price that I negotiated. It's worth $1.5 million, but I got it for $850,000.
So how much money do you make from self-storage?
Right now, we're bringing in a little under $150,000 a month.
A month in total rent?
Total revenue.
Ramel, the self-storage king. How's it going, baby?
Doing well. Glad to be here.
You excited to have you on the podcast, bro?
Yes, sir.
All right. So for people who don't know who you are, can you tell us a little bit about what you have done in real estate?
Absolutely. So I've been in real estate 10 plus years.
Okay.
I started out on the residential side. So buying duplexes, fourplexes, renting them out, fixing and flipping. My very first deal was a 2-family brownstone in Brooklyn. That's where I'm from, born and raised.
Okay.
I got that brownstone through a pre-foreclosure. I ended up doing it with no money down. So I teach how to buy self-storage without no money down out of your own pockets. But it started with me doing it on the residential side.
Okay.
Got it through a pre-foreclosure, raised the capital through a private partner. Put that same property. I got it for $590,000. I put it on the market, sold it for $1.2 million. I made 6 figures in real estate. My very first deal, 25 years old. I started doubling down, right? So I'm 25. I got money. I'm buying more properties so fast.
Yeah.
But when you move fast, you crash, right? So in 2020, I had over 40 plus properties, and we know the pandemic happened in 2020.
Yeah.
But I was buying in low income areas, so like Detroit, Milwaukee, Pennsylvania. And because of the pandemic, people was losing their jobs. They wasn't able to pay their rent. And as a landlord, you couldn't evict anyone due to monetary reasons during that time. So now I'm stuck with the mortgage, taxes, maintenance, right? But I'm not getting the cash flow. So at that point, it was a tough time for me in real estate. So I started to sell off a lot of my properties to liquidate just to kind of keep afloat. And that's how I got into the self-storage business, because one of the properties that I was selling, the buyer wanted it completely vacant. So I had a tenant, I gave him cash for keys. I gave him $2,000. I said, look, I just need you to leave. I don't care what you owe me, I just need you gone. He said, okay, I just need you to put my items in a storage unit for 90 days. I looked at every facility in my area, everything was sold out. And that was the light bulb moment. I'm like, I need to be on this side of the business. I started YouTubing, Googling, diving into self-storage, joined the mastermind, bought my first facility a couple of years ago, just started doubling down. Now we got over 500 units. So that's pretty much my journey.
Okay, into real estate. Got it. Let's move the microphone a little bit down so it's not blocking your face. There you go. Okay, so damn, that sounds really crazy. It sounds like you scaled really quick.
Yes.
I guess like before we get into self-storage, I guess like what got you into real estate?
My dad was in real estate, so he bought properties, but he didn't really know what he's doing. He didn't have mentorship, right? So he had a 3-family brownstone. Brownstones in New York is a big deal, right? So
what is that brownstone? What is that?
So a brownstone is like a historical brick house.
Oh, okay.
That's worth a lot of money.
Okay.
So in New York, that's a big deal if you own a brownstone. My dad owned a brownstone, but he lost it. He was a victim of predatory lending.
Okay.
Where you have somebody that's the real estate agent, the appraiser, the attorney, the title company, all related.
Termite inspections?
Yeah, everybody was related. He was a victim of predatory lending, and so he sold off his properties.
Yeah.
But he never got back into real estate. But he always knew that it was a thing. So I had real estate in my mind, but the internet is powerful. So I was on YouTube, and I started seeing different individuals teaching real estate. And I jumped into courses, started learning, studying.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Who were you watching?
I was watching Grant Cardone.
Okay.
Jay Morrison.
Yeah. I never heard of Jay Morrison.
What is Mark Whitman?
Never
just watching a bunch of different people.
Yeah.
Ryan.
Okay.
Watching Ryan as well.
So it was 2020.
Yeah.
Just
watching a few people online, learning about real estate.
Got it.
And just, as well, people like in the city. So I would go to meetups in my area. So I would go on Eventbrite.
Yeah.
And I would type in real estate meetups online.
Yeah.
And I would go to these real estate meetups, and I would bring my business card. I would dress up.
Yeah.
Just try to find partners, try to find people that's interested and learn from. So I was doing a combination of things. To really get into the business.
So how much money do you make from self-storage?
Right now, we're bringing in a little under $150,000 a month.
A month in total rent?
Total revenue.
Okay. And what's the margins on that?
Anywhere from 30 to 40% profit margin.
Okay. Yeah. Is that typical for self-storage?
Yeah, that's typical. So self-storage is low cost, low maintenance, right? Because you don't have tenants that typically live inside the unit, right? So
Okay.
you don't have the maintenance of plumbing. You don't have the maintenance of toilets, right?
Yeah.
So when you buying residential or apartments, there's
Yeah.
a lot of maintenance on it. So self-storage
Yeah.
is not the same case.
Yeah.
And also the way we do our facilities is all remote. So I don't even have anyone running the facilities. Everything is automated. Everything is ran remotely.
Really?
So we save a lot of money on like payroll and staffing.
Yeah.
And then we also make money. So it's a concept that I teach how you make multiple streams of income off of one facility. So we have different, partnerships where we make multiple streams of income off of each facility.
Got it. And then like, so, I invest in Las Vegas and California, right?
Yeah.
Let's just take California, for example. A self-storage anywhere decent is going to cost millions of dollars, like millions for sure. Like those public storage. I don't know if they have those brands in New York. I'm talking about public storage. Like, so how can someone get into self-storage if they don't have a ton of money?
Yeah. So I don't target the big dogs, right? So public storage, Extra Space, U-Haul, right?
Yeah.
That's the competition for me. I actually go after mom and pop independent self-storages. So
Okay.
80% of self-storages that's out there right now are still in the mom and pop. So you might have independent Sal self-storage, Franklin self-storage, right?
Okay.
These independent mom and pop baby boomers that's been owning facilities for 30, 40 years and they're ready to get out of the business, those are the type of facilities that I buy. And then, some small and mid-sized facilities is a target.
Got it. But how do you find them?
So few ways. Number one would be a website called bizbuysell.com.
Okay.
So that's a
Heard of it.
business brokerage website
Yeah.
where you have people that list their businesses that's for sale. So self-storage is not only real estate, it's a small business.
Okay.
So most people that own storage facilities and they tie it and they're ready to sell, they'll get with a business broker and they'll list it on a website like Biz Buy Sell. So you go on that website, get with a broker, start searching for facilities. You can go to LoopNet, Crexy, List Self-Storage.
Okay.
So there's a lot of platforms online. But what I really do on the back end is we just cold call. So
Got it.
Off-market self-storage is
Yeah.
one of the platforms. We'll pull a list of the leads, right?
Yeah.
So similar to Prop Stream where you can
Yeah.
pull a list of leads and we'll filter it down to self-storage, skip trace, get the phone numbers, and then
Okay.
just cold call every single day who's looking to sell their facility, any mom and pop. And that's how we do that every single day.
Got it. Okay. So when you are doing this, are you targeting New York or like, are you targeting like Oklahoma, like cheaper markets? Like where do you think is like the best places to go?
So right now my market is Pennsylvania and upstate New York.
Okay.
So at first I was all over the place. When I first got started in self-storage, like I bought a facility in Tennessee. I was doing things on the different places, but now I'm just strictly focused on Pennsylvania. So my most recent acquisition, we bought 3 facilities in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, sub-markets. So that's my focus right now, upstate New York and then Pennsylvania, sub-markets.
Okay. Why those markets?
It's cheaper, you in the city, Vegas, I'm pretty sure, I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm assuming Vegas is going to be super expensive if you're buying in the city. New York City for sure. You know, and then there's a lot of competition with the Extra Space, the public storage. They're going into the inner cities and buying up, and it's tough to compete with them because they got a bunch of cash.
Yeah.
So when you go in the outskirts, you'll be able to get it cheaper, but also when we buy self-storage, we want to go where the people are going. So in New York, when the pandemic happened, a lot of people started to move out of the city, right?
Yeah.
So they move into New Jersey, they move into Pennsylvania, they moving out, so it's cheaper. But when people move and they relocate, they they rent out self-storage facilities. So we just follow wherever the people go, wherever they're going. And a lot of people are moving on the outskirts, so we just get those facilities on the outskirts.
Okay. Can you break down like a typical self-storage deal, like numbers wise? Like what are you looking for?
Yeah. So I'll use one that we just did, the most recent one, which has been within the last 6 months. It was 3 storage facilities, a total of 240 units.
Okay.
In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, like I said, $850,000 was the price that I negotiated. It's worth $1.5 million, but I got it for $850,000
For 210.
240 units.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, so
850,000.
all right, so go ahead. So
Yeah. So I know it sounds like you need
Yeah.
a bunch of money, but you don't, especially when you're buying in the right areas. Now it's worth $1.5 million, but I was able to negotiate it and get it for $850,000. Like any other real estate business, you understand what is the motivation for that seller. So that seller, he been in the business 35 years, own these facilities outright, but his kids didn't want nothing to do with the business. Right?
Yeah.
He just want to go off into the sunset, but he had a lot of delinquencies. So there's a lot of renters that just stopped paying, because he wasn't up to date on the technology. He's still collecting cash, doing checks.
Yeah.
So finding distressed facilities like that have potential, but is not being operated with the new modern strategies.
Yeah.
That's how I'm able to say, hey, look, you got a great facility here, got a lot of upside and potential, but there's 30% of these people that's still not paying. And that's because you chasing them, trying to collect cash, checks, your system is not in place.
Yeah.
We need to actually go in, make sure that we
big people and stuff.
Yeah, we got to do all these cool things. We got to go in there and really get this facility where we need to be. It's going to cost us a lot of money to do that, right?
Yeah.
So, let's negotiate. Let's get this thing done. $850,000 is where we landed. Now, another reason why I love self-storage is because it's not only real estate, it's a small business. So you qualify for the SBA 7A loan, which is a small business loan where you could go buy any business with only 10% down.
Oh, okay.
So $850,000.
Only $85,000.
Only $85,000 down.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna say nothing. That's perspective, right? But $85,000 what I teach is you could use business credit cards, business lines of credit. You could raise it 401k. You can raise $85,000. Right?
Yeah.
And now you down. You get into the facility, and now you start running these different strategies to raise the value.
Got it. So let's take this $850,000 deal.
Yep.
So what do you think, what is the current rent being brought in?
Right now, we're bringing in about...
Like before you bought it? Yeah.
Well, before I bought it?
Yeah.
It was bringing in about $110,000, a little over $100,000 total.
A year or a month?
A year.
Oh, a year. $100K a year.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say,
not a
I was
month.
like a month. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah.
It was bringing in a year.
That's still good.
That's really good with delinquencies.
Yeah.
And with the rents being low and not raising rents.
Because like on a $850,000, so right now, let's just say I could buy a fourplex in Vegas in the absolute ghetto for $550, and each unit will rent for about $1,000. So that's like $4,000. So you're paying $850 and you're getting way more rent than like a average property out here.
Absolutely.
So, okay. So you said $100K a year. What do you think it'll cost to bring it up to like 2024 standards?
So our budget is for that working capital, $60,000.
That's it?
That's it.
For all of them?
That's it.
No way.
Yeah. So when we buy facilities, we want to look at the market, right? So in that market, it's Pennsylvania. It's not a new modern, city like New York or Vegas, right?
Yeah.
So we don't need to go and do all the bells and whistles, right? We just doing landscaping, we doing new signage, we put some doors in. And that's one of the things I love about self-storage is you don't have to put in a new kitchen, no new bathroom, right?
Windows and all this
no
crap.
windows, right? You go in there, as long as the doors is good, they last you 30, 40 years. The roof, 60, 70 years, right? So all we're doing is power washing if we need to, paint.
Yeah.
And that's really it.
So you're going to be in at like 9-10 about.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so with these loans, so you have to get an SBA loan?
SBA loan, yeah.
You can't get like a hard money loan or something like that?
You can get whatever loan you want. I like SBA because you come down with the least amount of money, 10% down.
Do you get fixed rate, 30-year, or how does that work?
Unfortunately, no. With SBA is variable, so it could change.
And then for how long do you get these loans?
30 years.
30 years. Oh, so it's a 30-year variable rate loan.
Yeah.
Got it.
And
Okay.
which is not typical for commercial. Commercial real estate, you don't typically get those type of terms for 30 years.
What if someone wants to do this, but they don't have any like past experience with commercial loans? Can they still get an SBA loan?
Yeah, they can get an SBA loan. They may ask you for like a partner or a sponsor for somebody that's already been in the business. If it depending on the type of deal, like if it's a smaller deal, $500,000 less, and it all depends on that lender too, right?
Yeah.
Because so one of the lenders that I use is Live Oak Bank. Right, that's the number one lender when it comes to self-storage, but they know the self-storage business.
Yeah.
So they're willing to actually take a little bit more of a risk, even if it's somebody that's new, because they know the business model.
Yeah.
And one of the things that SBA does as a newbie, they assign you a business analyst. So now they have somebody that you need to meet with every quarter to go over your financials, and they make it mandatory for you to actually hire one of their preferred management companies.
Oh, so you have to hire a manager.
You have to hire a management if you're a newbie.
Oh, okay, got it.
If you're a newbie, so you can get in the door, but they're gonna make sure I'll give you the money under my terms. So work with our management company.
Yeah.
And we're gonna give you a business analyst. I actually like that because you getting more support. You're gonna pay a little bit of money, but you're getting support around this big acquisition that you're doing.
Got it. Yeah. And then, okay, so the financing. What about, is the renovations going to be financed, or you have to pay for that out of pocket?
Yeah, so it depends on the deal. So in this facility, just this facility specifically, we got $60,000 working capital. So we bundled that into the loan.
Oh,
So, yeah,
okay.
so
So did they just give you that, or you have to do the repairs and then they pay you back?
no, they just give you that.
They just
So
give you that.
at closing, they just wire that working capital to the bank account, and now you go out and we do the work. And like I said, the business analysts, they come out every quarter just to make sure that you are using that working capital properly, and you're going through the business plan and everything that we projected.
Yeah. So like all this sounds really good, but like what's the like hard part of self-storage?
Yeah, like every business, you're dealing with people, right? So
yeah.
I said all the pros as far as we don't deal with no plumbing, no kitchens, no bathrooms, nobody living in your units, but people still have to pay.
Yeah.
And if somebody's struggling to pay their light bill or their rent where they live at, they're not gonna pay a storage unit, right?
Yeah,
it's the last thing I'm gonna pay, so you do have that risk of people not paying their rent. But what I do like about self-storage is we go by lien laws and not eviction laws. So, if you don't pay, we put a lien on the unit. And you have 30 days to be able to pay. If you don't pay, we do an auction. So you know about storage wars?
I've heard of it, yeah.
So your storage wars is, you have an auction, somebody comes in and could bid on that unit.
Yeah.
Whatever's in that unit, they can sell.
Oh,
right?
okay. Damn. Have you done that?
I have done the auctions, but as the owner of the facility, you can't participate in the actual buying of the unit technically.
Oh, okay. But you could sell the stuff.
But you could sell the stuff.
Yeah.
Now, the cool thing is, as the owner, because you put a lien on the unit, I have the rights to get back whatever you owe me from whatever proceeds, if there's any proceeds from selling that unit, right?
Yeah.
So if you owe me $200-$300 that you're behind,
yeah.
if I sell this unit on the auction for $500, I get what's owed to me, and then whatever's left could go back to the person who owns the unit, who rent out the unit.
What about what is have you ever done that and something really expensive gets sold?
Yeah.
Like what?
So I actually had an experience where somebody had $200,000 cash inside of a storage unit.
No,
but if somebody
way.
got arrested, it
they got arrested.
So,
how much did you get to keep?
I didn't get to keep.
Oh, nothing.
Yeah, because you
I would have picked something.
As the owner, you technically you can't, do that. You can't get any parts of the unit. Like once you auction it off, it's to the people that actually, buy that unit.
Damn.
There was somebody that got arrested. They fell behind in their payments because they was arrested and didn't know.
Yeah.
They couldn't make their payments, right?
Yeah.
And once you fall behind in your payments, you get an email, you notified. Next thing you know, the auction process happened and it's out of your control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do they call you and say, hey, someone has $250,000?
They email you. And if you don't check your email,
dang,
it says on you, but it's documented.
But okay, so on a situation like that, does someone get to bid on that? And
Yes.
are they bidding on it with the doors closed? Is it
No,
is
so
that
they
a
bid
thing?
on it with the doors open, but you don't know everything that's in it. It's a mess.
Yeah.
So it's a bunch of stuff in there.
Yeah.
You can't dig through it. We just open the unit and you see at a glance and you just bid on it. And whatever you get is whatever you might get some gold, like $200,000, or you might get some mattresses and couches that you barely could, try to flip.
Did someone buy that $250,000?
Somebody bought the unit and that came with the unit.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. How much did they pay for it?
I think it was a couple $100.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, I'm about to go invest in some auctions.
It's a big deal. You could YouTube online. Storage war is the big thing. So that's a real
Really?
business model where people go around and they show up to the auctions and they would buy these units because they get the units for cheap. And you could buy, let's say if there's a couch in there, you clean up the couch, you can sell a couch. If it's a bedroom set or whatever is the TV's in there, you try to revive it, clean it up, and sell it. That's typically the business model. But in cases like this, people win big.
What? Damn. That just blew my mind right there. I'm like, damn, someone paid a couple $100.
I wish I would have got the money. But I couldn't. Like,
as the owner, I feel like you should have the rights to just keep it, or at least sell it.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I feel the same way.
So what about, why are you doing self-storage, but and not doing apartments?
Yeah, so I used to do apartments.
Yeah.
Right? But with apartments, you're dealing with tenants.
Yeah.
And, I've done it. They call in midnight, toilet is clogged,
I know.
kitchen sink is this. Now, they call a property management company, but property manager still got to call you to make a decision and stuff like that. So this is just a way for you to still make money in real estate, get the equity, appreciation, cash flow, all the beautiful benefits. But now I don't have people living in my unit day to day.
Yeah.
And then when somebody leaves after a year lease, I don't have to do a full renovation on that unit now.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the reason why I don't do apartments specifically anymore. I was doing it, but me personally, I found something like way better and still get the same benefits.
What else? Like, so we already talked about the financing. You just cold call sellers to find them. Like, what else do people need to know in order to like get their first self-storage unit?
So I know. So I want to. That's a great question. So I want to kind of give them a little more practical steps, right? Because the quick way is find a facility, right? Get the financing, SBA, you buy it, but you have to do your market research. You want to make sure you buy in the right areas. So it's called supply index, right? It's one of the terms that we need to look at when you're buying facilities, because you could buy a facility in a dead area where there's nobody, right? Or people are leaving that area. So now you got empty units because nobody's renting, because nobody's there. So you want to look at a 5-mile radius, right? And you get all the facilities in a 5-mile radius, and then you get the total amount of units. So if in 5 miles is 4 or 5 facilities, right?
Yeah.
Let's say it's a total of 2,000 units, collectively between all of those facilities. Now you take that number and you divide it by the population in that 5 miles as well. And that number should be a 7% or below.
Got it.
If it's higher than 7%, then typically it's like, all right, maybe I don't want to buy there because it's not enough demand.
Yeah.
Right. So whoever's buying a facility, they need to do that market research and know that there's a demand and that they won't buy a facility that's going to be sitting there empty. Right.
Yeah.
We need to look at our competitors, understand the competition. What's our pricing structure? So for me, when we run our facilities, it's called revenue management. Right. So we don't want to be 100% occupied. If we're 100% occupied, I have no way to increase my rents. Right. So I want to keep 10% available where I could always see what the market is, what's happening in the market. So right now, this is moving season. So we're increasing the prices 20% right now because this is the moving season. And now if I have units available, I can now generate more revenue during this time versus if I'm completely full, I'm missing out on the spike of the rent that I can do during this season. So those are just a few things you want to look at. Business plan is important too. You got to have a business plan. SBA is going to require you to have a business plan.
What is a business plan?
Business plan, knowing what's your target, right? So is there apartment building nearby? Do you plan on renting out to people that live in this apartment building?
Yeah.
Is there a college or university, right? So do you plan on renting out to students during the time that they're going from spring semester to summer semester? Fall semester. So you need to understand your target, who you're going after. How do you plan on bringing more revenue to this facility? So this is what I was talking about earlier as far as generating more revenue streams. So we partner with U-Haul.
Okay.
Right? So U-Haul has trucking and transportation, right? So, we contact U-Haul. U-Haul has a site rep that comes to the facility and make sure they do their own market research to find out if U-Haul is even a need for this facility.
Yeah.
Once they determine that it is, they put how many trucks in, and then now you offer U-Haul services now. So if people need a truck, they rent out a unit, need a truck. Now you offer that, but U-Haul runs that entire division and they just give us commission. Right?
Okay, like an affiliate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Insurance. So when you rent out a unit, we make it mandatory for you to get insurance because if there's a flood or a fire or whatever, you don't want to be responsible, but we get paid affiliate commissions off the insurance and different things. Moving services as well. Yeah. So we get paid different affiliate commissions, partnership commissions by offering different services to these clients.
Got it. What about that sounds like a lot of management. Yeah. So when you first started, were you managing all this stuff?
No, because I went through SBA. So they gave me, I had to get a management company, which I'm glad I did. Yeah. That's the same management company that manages all of my facilities. So I don't have to be in the day-to-day of it. So property management, right? Pay 10% fee, but they manage everything from day to day. They manage the partnership with the vendors. Yeah. The call center when people are calling in. So all my facilities are remote. Yeah. Right. So if you go to the facility, there's nobody there waiting to check you in. There's a sign. You can do a QR. You scan the QR code. It takes you directly to the website. You rent out your unit online. You get your gate code. And
Did you set all that up?
The management company does all of that.
What?
Yeah. So I know it sounds crazy, right? So
it sounds too good to be true.
Initially, I know it does, right? But initially, what you do is you pay a setup fee. So $5,000 is an initial setup fee where they come out and they set everything up for you, right? If your facility is not up to speed, they're going to make sure they do everything that they need to get the systems in place. And then after that, it's a 10% fee monthly of your revenue.
And you can't get rid of them if you wanted to.
Oh yeah, you can. It's a contract.
Yeah.
Need that. So you need to have management in place. You could get rid of them and bring somebody else in. But as long as you have that agreement, you finance it through SBA, you need to have management.
Yeah.
Unless if you don't, then they'll check up on you. You don't have, yeah.
So is that 30% margin after the mortgage and everything?
It's after everything. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I know it sounds too good to be true.
It sounds crazy.
That's why I'm saying we got to get into the self-storage business, especially you being in real estate. And I come from residential. I did small apartments.
Yeah.
So it's the same principles. It's just that now you don't have to spend as much money on the maintenance and running that actual business. And plus, you can make more profits from it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Why don't people do it?
People doing it. Like, so right now I'm here. I'm at the self-storage conference. So it's Inside Self Storage World Expo.
Is it?
Thousands of people right now in the Caesars World Forum that's buying self-storage.
It's
just
know that.
no people. Yeah, so you didn't know it, right? You're in Vegas right now.
Yeah.
And 15 minutes up the road is thousands of people at an Inside Self Storage World Expo conference buying facilities, networking, doing so many things. So the industry is just I don't want to say untapped, but we need more exposure, right?
Yeah.
And the people that's been in it, they know it, and they've been making money quietly.
Yeah.
But not sharing it out. So that's my goal. That's why I'm sharing it. Things like that.
And how old are you?
31.
31? Damn, we're like the same age almost. So what's what are things that are challenges to you just overall? Because it sounds like you have self-storage figured out and it's cash flowing. Are you just retired?
I'm retired,
Damn, are you really?
I'm retired. Well, I work. I'll take a say I'm retired because I don't have to clock in no 9 to 5. But what I do full time, I'll check on my facilities. We have our meetings bi-weekly with the management company, making sure I'm working with my actual lead generation company to actually bring in more opportunity. That's what I'm doing on a daily. But outside of that, it's really education. So I have an education company, a community, thousands of people. We teach them these strategies and things like that. But I have other businesses and life, and I have wife, kids. I got a bunch of stuff as well. So it's not like everything is all great, but
it sounds
blessed.
like it.
Self-storage is great.
Yeah.
Self-storage is great, but there's always things that come up,
I guess a better question is what challenges do you face now just as an overall entrepreneur?
Challenges that I face overall as an entrepreneur.
I can tell you some of mine. For me, scaling. So hiring salespeople, firing salespeople, marketing. So we spend a lot of money on ads. And so right now I'm paying for TV, I'm paying for Facebook ads, I'm paying for cold callers, I'm paying for text messaging, CRM, all this bullshit. That shit adds up a lot. And I got to make sure there's a return on all that stuff. I got 4 kids, so my wife is wild.
Yeah, all of those same things. I think the biggest thing is duplication, duplicating myself. Getting people that's on board that can actually do the thing at the level that I do the thing. That's one of the biggest things that I've been struggling with, similar to you as far as making sure that I'm managing the financials, right? Because you make a lot of money, and then a lot of money go out. Right? A lot of money come in, a lot of money go out. So just really being able to keep an eye on that. Getting the right people in place overall, right? So as you hit a new level, now you need better CPAs, right? You need better attorneys. You just your team needs to grow. And I've been growing fast, but the people around me haven't been growing at the same pace. So that's been a challenge, helping and kind of getting in new rooms. And it's really balancing family. That's a big thing, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. Balancing work and family.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you don't work a lot though, because if you only have to meet with the management every other week, that's 1 hour. That's 2 hours a month. Yeah.
But I have a lot of my working hours come from my education company. So doing conferences, speaking engagement classes. So I do a lot of that too. So self-storage is affording me the opportunity to do that. Yeah.
What about your faith?
That too. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you go to church?
No, I'm Muslim.
Oh, you're Muslim.
I'm Muslim,
okay.
So I go to mosque.
Do they got a? Oh, is that Muslim church?
Sunday, yeah.
Okay.
It's like Muslim church. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
What about when you talk about recruiting and hiring? What roles have been hard to find? Or hard to fill?
So, number one would be an underwriter, right? So,
okay.
I have to underwrite all the deals. Now I have a lead generation company that does all the cold calling and generate leads, but they just generate motivated opportunities, right? But that's one thing. But being able to actually make a right offer and know that this is the right numbers, that's been a struggle because you gotta think the way I think, right?
Why is that hard? I don't understand. Because I'm looking at it from like residential, where it's like, okay, you run comps. You said there's a 5-mile radius, and can't you just see what other self storages sell for?
Absolutely. So so you can see that, but training somebody else up to actually do the same thing. Do you think? I guess let me ask you that for your business model. How has that been for you, training other people up to underwrite deals and analyze them?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm doing a lot with hiring. So Brianna made a funny face. Yeah. I just hired Brianna, so shout out to Brianna. She's crushing it. Yeah. So there's 3 things, right, when hiring, right? So I've actually scaled 3 businesses now. I scaled a real estate business. I scaled Wealthy Investor, which is like the education company that has these big conferences and all this stuff. We've had over a few thousand overall students, and then the real estate business, right? So when you're hiring, there's 3 things, right? There's culture, right? There's skill, and then there's experience. So typically, if you're going to hire something like that, you're going to need more experience and skill. Culturally, whatever, right? They could go work from home. You don't give a shit. Like, as if they know what they're doing, that's the type of person you're going to need for that type of role. So for us in residential flipping and wholesaling, I tell her sometimes just look at Zillow. Okay. So like in Vegas, if she's like, oh, I don't know ARV, what does Zillow say? So that issue of like comping isn't that hard. Okay. So with the final underwriting, so the way my current system works, right? We text, cold call, all that stuff. When we get leads, they put them into the pipeline. I have a setter who kind of looks at it and he'll determine, is it worth me looking at it or not? If it is, then he puts it to me and then I will thoroughly underwrite it. If he looks at it and he's like, oh, this is a good deal already, then he tries to lock it up himself, right? But then even when he's trying to lock it up himself, he still needs to send it to me because I'm like the main acquisition person right now. But there were times where I wasn't the main acquisition. So I had 2 killer acquisition people before, but then they decided to do their own business, which is obviously like part of the process. But for that type of role, I think I would try to find rather a student or someone that's like analytical and they're not like a sales profile and they're just underwriting. But is that hard to do?
It's been hard for me.
Really?
For me, it's been hard for me. So I have one of my students who actually became my partner. So she's on the acquisition team. She's doing underwriting, but I'm still doing a lot of like support, right?
Yeah.
Making sure this is the right numbers. So I guess it's gonna take a lot more time. Essentially, to make sure that I can now step out and focus more on working on the business. When it comes to that piece. So once we acquire the facility, running it and operating it, that's all management, kind of hands off. But now keep generating leads and making sure that we could buy and keep the pace of buying it as much as we just being able to bring in a bunch of deals, keep the deal flow going and buy deals as fast as we want versus like slowing up. So it's been 6 months since we bought our last facility. That's too long.
Is that her fault or whose fault is that?
It's my fault.
Well, it's always your fault because you're the business owner. Could you get 2 acquisition people?
I only have 1 right now.
But could you get 2?
I can.
How come you haven't done it?
I haven't felt like I found the right person yet.
Oh, really? Have you thrown people in the role?
I have.
Yeah. So I was just at Alex Hermosi's office. So I was there for his 2-day scaling workshop this past Thursday and Friday. And then he was talking about like, so the first day was just evaluating businesses, like how do you actually know what a business is worth? And I didn't know that before. And then the second day was like finding the constraints and then like mathematically putting numbers to the constraints. Like, so like for our business, every time we miss a deal, we put it into like a missed deal pipeline. And then we put like, okay, this was a $30K loss. Like, we lost this money. So once we started doing that, I started realizing like, okay, I have to step back into acquisitions because mathematically we've lost like $250,000 because I wasn't fully like, they would tell me I just let an acquisition person go yesterday, but they would say, oh, I got this deal, it's good. And I'm like, okay, it's good, great. And then I'm like, oh, what happened to this deal? Oh, we lost it. And I'm like, all right. And then I started keeping track. I'm like, damn, we're like losing a ton of opportunity. So I don't know, like unsolicited advice would be like, get some people in there and see, because acquisitions obviously is like the bloodline to every business. I tell our salespeople upstairs too, like, you're literally the heart and beat of Wealthy Investor, because if we stop selling, this whole shit will come down at some point. It doesn't stop. But yeah.
I appreciate that advice. So I'm gonna definitely keep working on that. Throw more people. But that's a struggle right there. I was just kind of duplicate myself. And I think even for me, it's some development there as far as like that trust factor too.
The leadership, yeah.
Yeah, right. Just being able to step back and allow people to fail in that role. Yeah. So that they can actually learn and go through that learning curve. Now they are better, right? Yeah. And we got to be okay with that. You know
I think it also depends on the role. So like with Brianna here, right? She's new. And she's working cameras and doing lights and stuff like that. So like the skill, experience, and culture, right? Maybe the experience isn't fully there, but if Brianna messes up one of these cameras, we're not losing $100K in a quarter. So like with your role, you're probably going to have to find someone that does have experience. But if you have students, I was Ryan's student, and then he groomed me to eventually be like CEO of Wealthy Investor. My acquisition guy in the other room, he was a student. The two rock stars that I had, they were students. And I've never made more money than when my acquisition team was on fire. If your acquisitions are dialed in, you're just like, bro, this is crazy. You're like,
another deal, another one.
Yeah. And then you also know when it's not popping, when you're just like, damn, like it's been like, what's going on? Like, I know we're getting leads, kind of like you're saying, but
that's where I'm at. So that's an opportunity. And also, you probably give me some, you can share some thoughts on this. Yeah. Managing multiple businesses, right? So I've also learned over the last couple of years, when I dive into one particular business, we see a lot of growth. Yeah. And then the minute I say, okay, we good. We got the system in place. We got people, cool. Yeah. Let me go shift over to this business. Let me dive in, growth. But then this one now slows down. Right now I got to go back, right? Yeah. So that's been a theme as well. But then I started to consolidate. All right, let me just focus on two things. Yeah. Right? So right now, the only two things, education and actual self-storage. But that's been a thing as well. That's been so...
I'll tell you, So Ryan has a lot of businesses. I don't know if you follow Ryan close, but he starts a business every week almost. So what I've seen, and then with my businesses too, so with every business, there needs to be like a head. And that head needs to be growth minded. So we have, and I have put people in place before where they're more like operations, and they're more like, oh, let's systematize everything and make it all clean and crap, right? But those type of mindsets, you're not going to grow. And with some businesses like education, for example, it's rather you're growing or you're kind of dying. It's kind of like, it's weird to be like at a flat pace. Usually they start to dip. So anytime we're looking for a leadership person, they need to be like sales and money motivated. They cannot be just like, oh, well, I want to systematize everything and make sure that we got these checklists. Because I fell into that before too, where I'm like, oh, like we need KPIs and we need this and we need that. And then slowly you start to see things dip. And then you're like, okay, F it. F everything you just did. Let's go back to what we were doing and make more money. So that has definitely been a big thing that I've noticed, and it goes back to just like acquisitions. Like I had those two people running. They were pretty much, they're like, hey, they got to the point where they're like, hey, we got this contract. Do you want to fund it? I'm like, yes, no, yes, whatever. And then eventually I just trusted them, and I didn't even have to do anything. Our sales team, like the last few years at Wealthy Investor, I would tell them, I'm like, you guys are better salespeople than me, because they could stay on a call for an hour and pitch someone $30K, where I would be like, hey, do you want to do this or not? 'Cause I don't.
That's it, man.
Yeah. Like, it's rather you're serious or you're not. Yeah. So I think you're gonna have to find people that are like super growth minded and sales.
How do you find great people?
Yeah. So first of all, churn is not bad. So, and then second of all, you should find them in your community because they're probably there. Have you tried like putting it out there or not really?
Not really, because I'm still vetting. Like I've given opportunity to a few people.
Yeah.
And we're working through that process, but not like strictly to the public. Hey,
yeah.
You know what I mean, strictly like to the full community.
Yeah.
Again, maybe that's something I need to kind of.
Yeah.
Because I'm still vetting out, I guess, who I want to be inside my business, right? And give them these opportunities, because now you really,
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think like I've hired more than 100 people already for sure. And I've fired probably more than 50 for sure or more. Like I said, those three things is like, first, culturally, do we align? Like, are they going to get on my nerves? Because if they are, it's not going to work. I'm just going to be irritated when they're around. Do they have experience like in sales or in whatever it is? Like I made a decision. I'm not paying people to train you. Like that's ridiculous. Like you could do that at McDonald's, but like in real estate, you can't, like Brianna can't run your self-storage. She just doesn't know it.
Yeah.
That would be dumb to hire someone that doesn't know self-storage. So skill and then experience, like you can't pay for experience. I don't know shit about self-storage. So I couldn't do the role. I could try really hard, but yeah. So for you, you have such a small niche, but I'm sure with like your following and, so they're probably going to have to be someone that like you're going to pay the salary and then maybe there's going to be some sort of like upside on like a potential partnership on deals or just mentorship where they're going to learn so much. And it's okay if they leave after a while. The point is for them to start, or like with Ryan, so like we've done deals before where he's helping like his TV deal, right? So he's on TV. He didn't want to do TV anymore, so he let me just take it over. So now I'm just paying for it. It has his face, all his crap, and I'm just getting those leads. So that's not him paying me more, but he gave me an opportunity that if I didn't do the role, I wouldn't get. So you could pay people in like different ways.
Got it.
Yeah. Are you wholesaling these deals, or how do you only buy them?
No, all three. So lead generation, got a team of cold callers every single day. Once the leads come in and anybody's motivated, put them in a pipeline, our CRM, and then we have our sellers going there from that point to make sure that they follow up. When we do with our deals, I'm gonna look at them. That's why I said getting more underwriters, because it is a lot of leads. We spend a lot of money on marketing, but when we underwrite these deals, are we going to wholesale it? Are we going to raise the money to acquire this? Or are we just going to independently, acquire it? Right?
How do you wholesale them? Are they on like Investor Lift?
No, so it's just like wholesaling that you do, right?
Yeah.
Deal come in.
Yeah.
Get it under contract. Facebook groups. Send to a buyer's list.
Yeah.
Get with a broker. See if they have any people that's looking to buy.
Yeah.
And now we just assigning it over. It's just like any wholesaling wholesaling process that you would do. We do the same thing on the self-storage. The only difference is the profit margins are a little higher because it's typically bigger deals.
Yeah.
But yeah, same process.
Who runs that business? Because that sounds like it's a completely different business. You have your rental business, you got that wholesaling business, and then you got the education business.
So one of my students,
that
I told you, she's the only person that's doing. She runs that division right there.
Got it.
So it's kind of doing a little bit of multiple things essentially. She's managing the wholesaling business, but also underwriting deals. So once she underwrite it and I get to it, then I make the decision on whether, all right, no, let's wholesale that one. We don't want it. So you work on packaging it up, doing dispo.
Got it.
This one, no, I actually want to keep that. Let me take it on from here. And I work directly with the lenders and going through the whole process to get to a closing table.
Yeah.
So it's just us two kind of doing a 1-2 punch, and I do need to bring on a few more people, so that we can, scale that out. But the problem is bringing on people that, hit those 3 buckets that you just said.
Yeah.
So, we work on that.
What about like how has the storage wholesaling business been going?
So I haven't been wholesaling a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Because when it comes to residential real estate, you have a lot more opportunities. There's a lot more single families, a lot more duplexes. There's not as many self-storages, so the leads are going to come in. So when the leads do come in, I'm primarily focused on buying first.
Yeah.
The only way I'm going to wholesale is if I have too many deals going on at once, and maybe like, all right, I can't buy all of these.
Yeah.
You know, but we just wholesale the deal. We made like $15,000 on it.
Okay.
It was pretty decent spread, but a lot of people are looking for leads, but also isn't so much demand. Is not you don't get deals that much when it comes to self-storage. So it's going to take you a little bit longer to find good deals, and then also the underwriting process is a little longer as well.
Yeah. What about like, and then are you doing this nationally, or is this just like
No, Pennsylvania, upstate New York.
So your marketing is all there.
Focused on it.
Oh, okay, got it.
That's my market of like just.
Is there that many storage units where you can sit there and market?
No, that's the thing too, right? Because it's not as much inventory when you think about houses and duplexes and quads and all that cool stuff. It's a lot more inventory, but it runs out after a while. So a lot of it is just now follow up. Unless I want to go to a new market, but then now I'm going to a new market. I did that and I was spreading myself thin.
Yeah.
Financially, it's not making sense now. We're spending too much money.
Yeah.
So it's just about, all right, let's keep nurturing these same leads and building and following up, and going through that process.
Got it.
Because it'll be worth it, when we do acquire, because that's how we've been doing it.
Yeah. And I guess like last part, like where do you see your business going, I guess, in like 2024, like moving forward?
So right now, going into business acquisitions overall. So self-storage is a business, right?
Yeah.
It's backed by real estate, but it's the same approach. So all the processes that it takes to go buy self-storage, it transfers whether you're going to go buy a laundromat, whether you buy a car wash, it's the same thing. You use the SBA loan. So now that's my focus going forward. I'm learning these skills and we're working on it.
Yeah.
But now not only buying self-storage, all right, the car wash that's next to it.
Oh,
right, the laundromat, because there's deals where you have a self-storage and a laundromat right nearby it. I haven't purchased anything of that magnitude, but those are the leads that I've come across. So now, all right, just being knowledgeable now to be able to bundle it in and acquire the businesses that support self-storage, right? So buying a management company. So instead of me paying a management company, how do I acquire one? And now it all works together. So I'm actually saving, more. So that's my goal going, as we finish out the year, going into next year, is positioning myself to now acquire businesses that support, like ancillary businesses that support the self-storage industry.
Got it. Okay. And then if people want to reach out to you and find out more about like self-storage and stuff, like where do they go?
Absolutely. So I have a community where I teach, train, and mentor on these exact strategies called the Mogul Elite Club.
Okay.
So they can find me on Instagram, Mogul Lifestyle with an underscore, MOGULLIFESTYLE_. You can type it on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, or go to moguleliteclub.com.
Got it.
And you could tap in with us and learn all of these cool things on how to get into the self-storage business.
For sure. And we'll put all the links in the description on the YouTube channel.
Yes.
So thank you for coming on, brother. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
All right, guys. This was the Wealthy Investor Podcast. We're out. Peace.